Welcome to English Learning Podcast for daily life, real conversation, and easy listening practice.
It's great to be here.
I am absolutely pumped to be here today because honestly, we are usually talking about learning a language, right? Like how to say hello, how to order a sandwich.
Yeah.
But today
is different.
Today is different. Today we aren't talking about learning. We're talking about mastering. We're talking about a total transformation.
That's right. And you are absolutely spot on with that distinction. We're looking at the difference between just, surviving in a language.
Just keeping your head above water.
Exactly. Keeping your head above water versus actually thriving in it, dominating it.
Exactly. We're looking at that frustrating, often invisible wall that so many people hit. You know the one I'm talking about, right?
Oh, I do. The plateau.
The plateau. You've been studying for a while. You've got your apps. You've got your textbooks. You can order a coffee. You can check into a hotel. Maybe even have a little polite chat about the weather.
You feel like you're making progress.
You feel good. You feel confident. But then you turn on a movie without subtitles, or you walk into a crowded pub with a group of native speakers, or you try to listen to a university lecture and suddenly...
It's like the floor drops out from under you.
It's like you've been hit by a truck. You understand nothing.
It's the classic B1 plateau. And it is heartbreaking, really. In the world of linguistics, we talk about this gap between the B1 learner and the C1 learner. And I think people underestimate just how massive that leap is.
It's not just about learning more words, is it?
Oh, not at all. It's not just more words. It's a completely different brain state, a different way of processing the world.
So for everyone listening, and I know we have a mix of levels here, let's just, define the players. Who exactly is this B1 learner we're talking about?
The B1 learner is what we call the independent user. And I think a great way to think about it is a tourist who is really, really good at being a tourist.
Okay, I like that.
They can handle most situations that come up while traveling. They can describe experiences, dreams, hopes, ambitions. They can give brief reasons for their opinion.
I like the movie because it was funny, that kind of thing.
Precisely. It is functional. It works. You won't starve. But it lacks nuance. It lacks depth.
Right. It's the I'm fine, thanks, and you level of English. So the C1 learner, that's the holy grail we are chasing today.
The C1 learner is the proficient user. This is where the magic really happens. A C1 learner understands a wide range of demanding, longer texts and, crucially, recognizes implicit meaning.
Implicit meaning, that's a huge phrase.
It's everything. It means they can express themselves fluently and spontaneously without much obvious searching for expressions. They can use the language flexibly, effectively, for social, academic, and professional purposes.
So they don't just hear the words someone is saying.
No, they hear the attitude. They hear the sarcasm, the hesitation, the joke behind the joke.
They're hearing what isn't being said.
Exactly. And today, we are going to break down exactly how you bridge that gap. We have combed through a mountain of research, expert strategies, and really high-level instructional material to bring you what we are calling the 7 golden strategies to go from B1 to C1.
And these aren't just your standard tips, are they?
No, I want to be really clear about that. These aren't study your flashcards more. These are psychological shifts and tactical habits that literally change how your brain processes sound.
Okay, before we dive into number 1, I want to give you a little motivation, a little bit of a mission for today. Don't just listen to this conversation passively while you're, doing the dishes or driving.
You can, but you'll get more out of it if you're active.
Exactly. To really make this stick, you need to take these concepts and actually practice them. Grab a partner. Or if you don't have a partner, and let's be honest, scheduling can be a total nightmare grab in AI.
That's a great point. I mean, the technology we have now is just incredible. You can simulate the kind of high-pressure conversations we're about to discuss with an AI partner.
You really can.
You have to solidify those neural pathways by actually doing, not just listening. Knowledge is, it's potential power, but practice is actual power.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission today is to deconstruct the habits that separate the average from the exceptional. We have 7 strategies, and strategy number 1, it's going to hurt a little bit, isn't it?
It might hurt a lot.
Yeah.
But it's necessary pain. The good kind of pain.
I like that, the good kind of pain. Before we get to that, though, I just want to jump in here quickly. We're about 5 minutes in, and if you are already feeling the vibe of this deep dive, if you were ready to make that jump to C1,
and we know you are,
please take a second to like, share, and subscribe. It really does help us out, and it helps other learners find this content so we can keep bringing you these deep dives.
Absolutely. We really appreciate you being here.
All right. Strategy number 1. This is built around a very intense, almost military principle, we call it, the train hard, fight easy immersion principle.
This is foundational. It's the bedrock. The problem with the B1 learner, and it's not their fault, really, is that they have usually been spoiled by their learning environment.
Spoiled? That sounds a little harsh.
It is harsh, but it's true. Think about your typical English classroom or your favorite YouTube learning channel. The teacher speaks slowly.
Very slowly.
They enunciate every single syllable. They face the camera with perfect lighting. And critically, they repeat themselves. Open your books to page 10. Page 10, everyone. Please open your books to page 10.
Oh, totally. I feel safe just listening to you do that. It's warm and fuzzy. It's comfortable.
Exactly. It's like a parent holding a child's hand while they learn to walk. They want you to understand, so they make it easy. But here's the problem. The real world is not a classroom.
Not even close.
The real world is a messy, noisy, fast-paced place. If you only train in that safe zone, the wild zone will eat you alive.
So the train hard, fight easy concept, this comes from the military, right?
It does, yeah. The SAS, the Navy SEALs, they all use this philosophy. The idea is that your training should be significantly harder than the actual battle will ever be.
So you over-prepare.
Massively.
Yeah.
If you're training in perfect, clean conditions, the moment you hit the chaos of reality, stress, noise, confusion, you freeze up. But if you train in chaos, reality feels, well, it feels slow. It feels manageable.
So for a language learner, what does training hard actually look like? Because I assume it doesn't involve doing push-ups in the mud while someone shouts grammar rules at you.
No, not quite. It means you have to stop listening to materials designed for learners. Full stop. You have to move into the wild.
Wild.
You need to be listening to native speakers talking to other native speakers. Not talking to you, the learner, but talking to each other.
That's such a key distinction, because when I talk to someone who I know is a learner, I subconsciously simplify my vocabulary, I slow down, I nod a lot, I smile.
You're helping them.
But when I talk to you, my friend, I'm using slang, I'm probably interrupting you, I'm mumbling, I might be looking at my phone.
Exactly. And that is the C1 environment. That's the wild. You need to expose yourself to podcasts on history, science, health topics you actually care about, where the speakers are debating, laughing over each other, using complex arguments.
Right.
Because if you can understand a heated debate between 4 people on a political podcast where everyone is shouting and using idioms, a standard job interview is going to feel like a walk in the park.
It's like swinging a baseball bat with a weight on it. When you finally take the weight off, the bat feels incredibly light.
That's the perfect analogy.
But I have to play devil's advocate here. If I'm a B1 learner and I turn on a podcast about, I don't know, quantum physics or 18th century French politics, and I understand basically nothing, isn't that just discouraging? I just want to quit.
That is the danger, yes. And that is the necessary pain we talked about. But that feeling of I don't understand is actually growing pains.
Yeah.
You have to learn to embrace the ambiguity.
Embrace the ambiguity.
You aren't supposed to understand 100% yet. That's the point. But if you go back to the safe stuff, you are just spinning your wheels.
Yeah.
You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Comfortable being uncomfortable. I like that a lot. Now, inside this strategy, there's a specific rule you mentioned that I think is going to terrify some people, the one-time rule.
Yes, the one-time rule. This is where we take away your safety blanket.
Tell them what it is. I want to see the fear in their eyes.
It is very, very simple. When you are practicing listening, you play the audio once, you commit to an answer or an understanding, and that's it.
No rewinding.
You do not get to rewind 5 times to catch that one word you missed.
Oh man, I can feel the anxiety rising just hearing that. I am a chronic rewinder. What did he say? Rewind. What did he say? Rewind.
And that is precisely why so many people struggle in real conversations. Because in real life, at an airport, in a business meeting, on a first date, people do not have a rewind button. If you're standing at a gate in an airport and the announcer says, "Attention passengers," the gate for flight 202 has now changed to 4B, and you are checking Instagram.
The plane leaves without you.
The plane leaves without you. The pilot doesn't come on the intercom and say, "We are now landing." I repeat, for the B1 learners, we are landing. Please listen
Right.
carefully. We are now landing.
Yeah. Right.
So when you are practicing, you have to simulate this pressure. It forces your brain to pay attention in a fundamentally different way.
How so? What does it do to your brain?
Well, if your brain knows it has a safety net, Oh, I can just rewind if I miss it. It relaxes. It gets lazy. It starts to zone out.
It's like knowing the answers are at the back of the book. You don't try as hard to solve the math problem yourself.
Precisely. But if your brain knows I have one shot to get this information, it sharpens its focus, it recruits more cognitive resources, it floods the system with a little bit of adrenaline and Socus chemicals. You actually hear better because the stakes are higher.
So stop rewinding, stop pampering your brain. Treat every single listening session like it's a live one-time event. That is huge.
It is the only way to build the resilience you need for C1.
Okay, that leads us perfectly into strategy number 2. Because let's say I accept your challenge, I put on the hard podcast, I promise not to rewind, but then 5 minutes in, my brain just melts. I physically can't keep up. My attention just disappears.
And that brings us to strategy 2, building the listening muscle, stamina and focus.
This is what you call the 30-minute wall.
Yes, this addresses a very, very common failure point. I see this all the time. A learner has great vocabulary. They know their grammar rules perfectly.
Yeah.
But they put on a 30-minute lecture or a movie, and after 5 or 6 minutes, they crash.
They zone out. They start thinking about what they're going to have for dinner or whether they left the stove on. They can still hear the English sounds, but the meaning just stops entering the brain.
Exactly. And the learner thinks, oh no, my English is bad. My vocabulary isn't good enough. But it's not a knowledge failure. It is a stamina failure.
A stamina failure.
Listening is a muscle. It requires massive amounts of glucose and energy. And many B1 learners simply lack the cognitive stamina to maintain that high-level focus for 30 minutes straight.
It's like asking someone who jogs around the block once a week to suddenly run a marathon. You can't just decide to do it on the day. You have to train for it.
That's the analogy we always use. A marathon is what, 26 miles? You don't show up on race day and run the full distance.
No way.
You start with 5 minutes of intense, unbroken focus.
Unbroken is the key word there.
Yes. No phone checking, no multitasking, no looking out the window. Just 5 minutes of pure, painful listening. The next day you push it to 7 minutes, then 10. You gradually build up to that 30-minute wall. You have to condition your brain to hold on to that thread of language for longer and longer periods.
But let's talk about what kills that stamina, because we live in a world that feels like it's designed to destroy our attention spans.
It absolutely is. We call these the focus thieves. And in our modern world, the biggest enemies of C1 listening are, without doubt, social media and the 24-hour news cycle.
Oh, interesting. So my doom scrolling on Twitter is actually hurting my English listening stamina.
It is absolutely destroying it.
Yeah.
These apps are engineered to fracture your attention. They train your brain to engage with something for 15 seconds, get a little dopamine hit, and then swipe.
15 seconds, swipe. Another 15 seconds, swipe.
That is the opposite of deep listening. Deep listening requires you to hold a single thought, a single argument, for 10, 20, 30 minutes.
That makes so much sense. If your brain is trained for 15-second sprints all day, a 30-minute lecture is going to feel like absolute torture.
It's an impossible task. We see high-level learners when they are in an intensive study period. They will often delete these apps entirely.
Really, just delete them.
Or they'll stop watching the news. They do it to protect their cognitive battery.
The cognitive battery. I like that. So if your battery is drained by scrolling through videos of cats and political arguments, you don't have the juice left to decode complex English.
Precisely. And to recharge that battery, we actually recommend something that sounds a bit woo-woo to some people, but the science completely backs it up. Meditation.
Meditation for learning English.
Yes. Using meditation, even just 5 or 10 minutes, to reset the brain between study blocks can drastically improve your overall cognitive ability.
How does that work?
It clears the cache, so to speak. It trains your brain to focus on one single thing, your breath, which is exactly the skill you need to focus on one single thing, the voice speaking English.
So delete TikTok, meditate for 10 minutes, and then try your 30-minute deep listening session. It's holistic. I love it.
It's about optimizing the machine in your brain that does the learning.
All right, let's get into the mechanics of listening itself. Strategy number 3. This is where we start talking about what is actually happening inside your head while you listen. We call this the art of prediction.
This is a total game changer. This is the difference between being a reactive listener and being a proactive listener.
Okay, break that down for me. Reactive versus proactive.
A B1 learner, the reactive listener, sits there and waits for the words to hit their ears. They're passive. They're thinking, okay, come on, give me the next word. They hear the word apple, and then they think, oh, apple, fruit, okay. It's slow.
Right.
A C1 learner is proactive. They are predicting what is coming next before it's even said.
We use the driving analogy here, right?
Yes, it's perfect. Think about when you are driving a car. Your primary focus is on the road directly ahead, but you are peripherally aware of everything. You see a bike on the side of the road and your brain instantly predicts that bike might swerve.
Or you see a side street coming up and you predict a car might pull out.
Exactly. You aren't surprised when it happens because you were already simulating it in your mind. So if a car does pull out, you don't panic. You react instantly because you were expecting it.
So how does a listener do this? Give us a practical technique.
First, use the context clues you're given to prime your brain. Let's say you are about to listen to a podcast. Look at the title. If the title is 19th Century Manufacturing, what should your brain be doing immediately?
It should be like opening the factory file. I should be expecting words like steam, coal, industry, production, workers, machines.
Exactly. You are warming up the neural pathways associated with that specific topic. So when you do hear the word steam, your brain recognizes it instantly because it was already looking for it. You aren't searching your entire vocabulary database of 50,000 words. You've narrowed the search field down to maybe 500 relevant words.
That is so smart. It's like Google autocomplete for your brain.
And you can go even deeper. You can use grammatical prediction. This is where it gets really cool.
Ooh, tell me about that.
As you're listening to a sentence unfold, your brain should be predicting the type of word that is likely to come next, based on the grammar structure.
Okay, let's try it. I'll start a sentence and you tell me what kind of word has to come next.
Ready? Ready.
The price of the new car increased to.
A number. Yeah. Or a currency. My brain is screaming dollars or pounds or percent.
Right. You aren't expecting a verb. You aren't expecting a person's name. If I said the price of the car increased to swim, your brain would just crash.
Completely. Let's do another one. The man was so tired he decided to walk into the...
Noun. A place, a room, a building, the bedroom, the house, the office.
Yes. If you are predicting the grammar, you are much less likely to get lost. It narrows down the possibilities. If you hear a sound that's a little ambiguous, maybe the speaker mumbles, your grammatical prediction helps you resolve what it probably was.
This is what native speakers do all the time without even thinking about it.
Constantly. It's a superpower. You are literally living in the future of the sentence.
That is exactly what fluent listening is. Living in the future.
It is.
But, and here's the problem. Sometimes the future changes. Sometimes people lie. Or they change their minds in the middle of a sentence. And that leads us perfectly into strategy number 4, navigating nuance traps, distractors, and real speech.
This is where the B1 learner gets absolutely crushed. This is where you lose points on exams and where you get hopelessly confused in real meetings.
Because B1 learners are essentially keyword hunters, right?
Yes, they hunt for keywords, they hear a word, they grab it, and they assume that's the final answer.
I heard London. The answer must be London.
But real speech, and especially C1 level speech, is full of self-correction. It's messy. We call these distractors.
Give us an example of a classic distractor that would trip someone up.
Okay, imagine a speaker says, "We started our journey in London." Actually, wait a minute. We ended up in Manchester. The B1 learner wrote down London the second they heard it. Their pen hit the paper. They stopped listening. The C1 learner waited. They heard the hesitation in the voice. They heard the, actually, no. They tracked the correction.
That is so common in real life. People are always saying, I'll meet you at 5. No, wait, traffic is really bad. Let's make it 5.3.
Exactly. And if you show up at 5, you were sitting there alone for 30 minutes because you were a B1 listener. You have to track the timeline of the thought. Another major trap is the use of negatives and double negatives.
Oh, these are so tricky, even for native speakers sometimes.
They can be. If I say, the food wasn't bad, what do I mean?
You mean it was good, or at least acceptable. It was okay.
Right. But a B1 learner hears the word bad, and their brain immediately triggers the negative flag. They think, oh, he didn't like the food. Or take this one, which is even more complex. I was least satisfied with the drinks.
Least satisfied. Wow. That requires you to process a whole hierarchy of satisfaction.
Precisely. It implies I was satisfied with other things. Maybe the food was great, the service was amazing, but the drinks were at the very bottom of the list. It's a complex thought structure. A B1 learner might just hear satisfied and think everything was great.
And then there are synonyms. If a question on a test asks about returning to a place, the speaker might never even say the word return.
Correct. They might say, when we come back, or on the homeward journey, or upon our arrival back home. You have to listen for meaning, not just for matching words.
And one final detail in this strategy that I think is fascinating, because it's so small but so important, is precision. Spelling and plurals.
This seems minor, but it's one of the clearest signals that distinguishes the masters from the intermediates.
Give us an example.
It's the difference between hearing sugar and hearing to sugar.
Sugar is the concept, the uncountable substance. 2 sugars is 2 specific cubes in my coffee.
Exactly. One is uncountable, one is countable. If you get that wrong in a cafe, your coffee tastes bad. Or in an exam, it's the difference between hearing terminal 2 versus the airport terminal 2. In some strict contexts, accuracy matters. If you're transcribing something or taking down a license plate number or phone number, that tiny bit of precision is the difference between right and wrong.
That sharpness of hearing, catching the subtle sound at the end of a word, that really is a sign of a highly tuned ear.
It signals mastery.
Okay, strategy number 5. This is for when things go wrong, because they will. Strategy 5. Dealing with the unknown.
Ah, yes. The fear, the panic, the B1 freeze.
I know this feeling so well. You're listening along, you're doing great, you're feeling confident, you're in the zone, and then wham! A word you have never ever heard before in your life, and your brain just locks up.
This is the B1 panic. And it comes from a false belief. The learner feels that to be good at English, they must understand every single word.
Is that true? Be honest.
No, it is absolutely 100% false. Even native speakers, even professors of English literature do not know every single word in the language. There are over 170,000 words in current use. Nobody knows them all.
That's a relief to hear.
It is not your job to understand every word. It is your job to understand the overall message.
So what's the strategy when we hit that wall? When we hear a word like physiognomy or petrichor, what do we do?
You have the 2 choices strategy. Choice 1, ignore it.
Let it go. Pretend it didn't happen.
Immediately. Instantly. If the word clearly isn't essential to the core message, if it's just an adjective describing the color of a background object, or an adverb emphasizing something, dump it. Don't let your brain get hung up on it.
Because if you do, you miss what comes next.
If you stop to think, what was that word? What did that mean? Wow, you will miss the next 3 sentences. You have to maintain the flow at all costs.
And choice 2.
Guess from context. This is what we do in our native language all the time without even realizing it.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Let's say I tell you, the man was feeling very cromulent because he had just lost his job. Now, cromulent isn't a real emotional word. I made it up. But based on the rest of the sentence, what does it probably mean?
Well, he lost his job. So sad, angry, depressed, upset, something negative.
Exactly. You don't know the precise definition, but you know the vibe. You have triangulated the meaning using the surrounding logic and context.
And that is actually how you learn vocabulary naturally, isn't it? You guess, and then later on, maybe you look it up and check.
Exactly. That is how children learn their first language. They don't use dictionaries. They use context.
Speaking of checking, we have a specific actionable tip here for spelling, right? Because spelling in English is, well, it's a complete nightmare.
It's a nightmare. It's a Frankenstein language made of spare parts. So here's the tip. The spelling mistakes doc.
How does it work?
It's very simple. Keep a specific document on your phone or your computer. Every single time you spell a word, wrong words like receive, is it I before E? Or accommodation, is it 2 C's, 2 M's, or necessary, put it in that doc.
Just a running list of your own mistakes.
And then once a week you review it. That's it. Don't study the dictionary. Study your mistakes. Your brain has specific blind spots. You need to target those directly. This is so much more efficient than general study.
I love that. It's targeted repair. Okay, strategy number 6. This one trips me up even in my own language sometimes. Visualization and spatial directions.
The map problem. This is a classic component of C1 listening exams and, of course, real-world travel. Someone gives you directions, go past the library, then turn left at the bank. It's opposite the park.
And by the time they say park, I'm still mentally standing back at the library, totally lost.
Most people are. The challenge is that this requires dual processing. You have to listen to the language and build a spatial model in your head at the same time. To succeed here, you need to become what we call a ghost walker.
A ghost walker. That sounds cool. Explain that.
You cannot just listen to the words turn left. You have to create a mental movie. You have to imagine yourself standing at the specific starting point. If the speaker says start at the north gate, you have to mentally place your ghost there at the north gate, because left is relative.
Oh, that is so true. If I'm facing south, my left is east. But if I'm facing north, my left is west.
Exactly. You have to orient yourself inside the mental map. You have to visualize the landmarks passing you by. Okay, I'm walking past the lake. The lake is on my right. Now I see the cafe ahead of me.
It's like creating virtual reality in your head.
It is.
Yeah.
And here is the C1 twist on that. You have to listen for spatial synonyms. They might not always say next to. They might say adjacent to, or bordering, or just beyond, or past the cluster of trees. You are building a 3D world from a stream of audio cues.
That takes a lot of cognitive load. But again, practice makes perfect.
Well, actually, that brings us very neatly to strategy 7. You walked right into my trap.
The final strategy, the perfect practice protocol. What trap did I just walk into?
Strategy 7 is all about debunking that old myth that practice makes perfect. Because, well, it doesn't.
It doesn't. But my grandmother told me that. Everyone says that.
And they're wrong. Think about it. If you practice doing something incorrectly 100 times, what happens?
You get really, really good at doing it wrong.
Exactly. You just cement the error into your muscle memory. The phrase should be, perfect practice makes perfect. Doing 100 listening exercises badly won't make you C1. You need a system.
So what is the system? What is the protocol?
It's a 3-step loop. Step 1, simulate reality. We've already talked about this. Do a listening task under real pressure. No pausing. One listen only.
Okay, got it. Step 2.
Forensic analysis. This is where most people fail. They check their score. Oh, I got 7 out of 10, and they move on. They feel good about the 7 or a little bad about the 3, but they don't actually learn anything from the experience.
So what should they be doing instead?
You need to look at the 3 you got wrong and ask the most important question. Why? You need to be a detective investigating your own mistakes.
So was it a spelling error? Was it a lapse in focus? Did I fall for one of those distractor traps? Was it a vocabulary issue? I couldn't guess.
Exactly. And once you have the diagnosis, you move to step 3, targeted repair. If the issue was spelling, you go to your spelling doc and add the word. If it was focus, you need to practice your meditation. If it was a trap, you need to analyze how they tricked you so you see it coming next time.
You fix the leak. You don't just get back in the sinking boat and hope it floats better next time.
That is how you improve. You don't improve by taking the test. You improve by analyzing the results of the test.
Right.
And the ultimate goal of all of this is what we call the shoelace analogy.
The shoelace analogy. I love this one.
Do you get stressed when you have to tie your shoelaces?
Never. I don't even think about it. I can have a full conversation on the phone and tie my shoes at the same time.
Why? Because you have done it perfectly thousands and thousands of times. It is completely automatic.
Yeah.
You want your English listening to feel like tying your shoelaces.
Yeah.
You want the grammar prediction, the vocabulary access, the nuance detection to happen without conscious effort. That is C1.
That is the dream. Okay, we have covered the 7 strategies, but now I want to take this deeper. We promised a deep dive, and so far we've given everyone the tools. Now I want to see these tools in action.
Let's do it. We have selected 3 pieces of complex nuance content, and we're going to break them down to show you what a C1 learner actually hears versus what a B1 learner might miss.
These aren't just simple sentences. These are stories with layers. Let's start with example 1, the Klein Museum.
This feels like a classic tour guide listening scenario, which you get in exams and in real life all the time. But the details are deliberately tricky.
So set the scene for us. We're listening to a guide describe the historic house of a famous writer, Mr. Klein.
Right. And the narrative flow is both spatial and historical. The guide starts talking about the guest room. Now, a B1 learner hears guest room and maybe just thinks, okay, a bed for guests.
Simple, but there's more to it.
A C1 learner catches the very specific detail. The guest room is the largest room in the entire house.
Which is weird, right? You'd think the master bedroom would be the biggest, so why was the guest room the biggest?
This is where listening for reasoning comes in. In this specific historical context, we're talking 19th century, very cold winters. The guest room was actually where the family gathered in the winter to keep warm. It was multi-purpose social hub, so it had to be big.
So if you missed the part about winter gathering, you would be completely confused about why the room size is what it is.
Totally confused. And then there's the kitchen design. The text mentions the stove is backing the fireplace.
Right. That's not just a random placement.
No, it's a brilliant functional detail. Why is the stove there? For heat efficiency. The fire warms the main room and the stove oven at the same time. A C1 learner connects those dots. Fireplace location equals stove location equals brilliant engineering. They're building a mental blueprint.
And my favorite detail from this whole text, The writer's office.
Ah, yes, the tiny cubby.
You'd expect a famous writer like Mr. Klein to have this grand library with floor-to-ceiling leather books and a massive desk. But the text says his office was just a little cubby. Why?
For quiet. It was the quietest, most isolated location in the whole house.
That is such a human detail.
It is. A C1 learner catches that irony. The most important work in the house happened in the smallest, most insignificant looking space. It requires you to understand the personality of the man, not just the list of rooms in his house.
I love that. Okay, let's step up the difficulty. Example 2 is much more academic. This is the kind of stuff you'd hear on a TED Talk or news analysis podcast. The topic is clean energy and nuclear power.
This is a heavy topic, and the argument presented here is very, very nuanced. It's not just clean energy is good or oil is bad.
Right. The speaker points out a massive paradox right at the start. Clean energy production is rising. We see more solar panels, more wind turbines everywhere.
But the percentage of global electricity that comes from clean sources is actually declining.
Wait, pause there. How can both of those things be true? How can the amount of solar be going up, but the percentage of clean energy be going down?
It's a math problem.
Yeah.
A really scary one. It's because our total energy consumption, our fossil fuel use, is growing faster than clean energy is being built.
So the whole pie is getting bigger, and the fossil fuel slice is growing faster than the green slice.
Precisely. A C1 learner has to be able to hold those two conflicting ideas in their head at the same time. Green is up, but brown is up even faster. If you just hear green is up, you miss the entire crisis.
And then the speaker drops the bombshell. The unpopular solution: nuclear power.
This is where it gets psychologically very interesting. The speaker makes the argument that, statistically, nuclear is actually far safer and lower carbon than people think. But why don't we use it more?
Fear. Plain and simple.
It's the unconscious fear. Our brains associate nuclear with three terrifying things: meltdowns, waste, and weapons. Even though coal pollution kills far more people every single year, people don't fear coal in the same visceral way they fear a meltdown. It's a psychological argument, not just a technological one.
And the speaker mentions thorium reactors as a potential fix, right? A safer type of nuclear.
Yes, but here's the C1 letdown detail. This is the key. Did you guess a timeline?
I think, was it 2040? Something like that, yes.
The Chinese thorium reactor won't be ready for commercial sale until 2040 at the earliest. That is a crucial, crucial detail.
That's almost 15 years away from now.
Exactly. If you're writing an essay based on this lecture and you say, thorium reactors will save us now, you have failed. You missed the nuance. 2040 is a long way off. That one detail changes the entire validity of the argument. It means we need a different solution for the next decade and a half.
That is immense. You have to catch the number that completely invalidates the short-term optimism. Okay, example 3, this one is biology and systems thinking, the shrimp and mangroves problem.
This one is a bit dark, but it's a fascinating and complex system. It connects our love of seafood to environmental destruction.
It starts with the shrimp. We eat a lot of it.
The most consumed seafood in the West. It's delicious, it's relatively cheap, but the way we get it is... No, it's complicated. Yeah. We farm them in coastal areas, often by clearing out mangrove forests.
Which destroys the roots, which protect the coastlines from storms. It's bad news for the planet.
Right, but then it gets darker. There's the grinding Nemo phenomenon.
Grinding Nemo. That is a horrific image, like the movie Finding Nemo, but in an industrial blender.
It is exactly that. It refers to bycatch. Trawling ships go out to catch small fish to feed the farmed shrimp. But they don't just catch the fish they want. They catch everything. Sea turtles, rare fish, Nemo. And they just grind it all up into fish meal to feed the shrimp.
So the farmed shrimp are literally eating the wild ecosystem.
And then we're eating the shrimp. Mm-hmm. That's an ecosystem eating itself. But then, and this is the peak C1 moment, we get to the chicken paradox.
This broke my brain a little bit. Walk us through this one carefully.
Okay, so we take some of that fish meal and we feed it to chickens to make them grow faster.
Okay. So fish are feeding chicken.
Got it. But we also take the byproducts of chickens, the feathers, the bones, the stuff we don't eat. We grind that up and we feed it to fish in aquaculture farms.
So wait a minute. You're telling me there is a fish out there that ate a chicken?
Right.
That ate a fish?
Exactly. It's a bizarre industrial biological loop. A C1 learner follows this absurd irony. They understand the circular nature of the modern food system. It's not just factory farming is bad. It's the system has become a weird cannibalistic loop.
Wow. If you can listen to a 5-minute explanation of the chicken-fish loop and chuckle at the dark irony while understanding the biological and environmental implications, You are definitely C1.
Absolutely. You are processing logic, humor, biology, and industry all at the same time. That is the summit of the mountain.
Wow. Okay, we have covered the strategies, we have covered the content examples. This has been a massive download of information.
It has. But remember, information without application is just noise.
So let's just recap that transformation. You are moving from being a passive listener to an active one. You're not waiting for words to come to you. You are predicting them.
You're not listening to safe, slow, clean English. You are embracing the messy, fast, train hard English of the real world.
And you are building your focus muscle like a marathon runner, bit by bit.
And so importantly, you are forgiving yourself for not knowing every single word while being ruthless about fixing your own recurring mistakes.
I love that balance. Forgive the unknown, but ruthlessly fix the repeated error. That is the path to mastery.
Now, we did promise a bonus.
Yeah.
We always like to leave you with one final thought, something to mull over that wasn't on the main list. And this one's about the psychology of high performance. It's a concept called paralysis by analysis.
This sounds like something that happens to me every time I try to speak a foreign language.
It happens to everyone. This is fascinating science. It applies to elite athletes, and it applies to speaking a language. High-level performance often fails when you start to overthink the mechanical details.
Like that soccer player example you mentioned once.
Exactly. Researchers took highly skilled soccer players who could dribble a ball effortlessly. They are geniuses with their feet. And then the researchers asked them to do one simple thing. As you dribble, pay close attention to which part of your foot is touching the ball.
A simple question, just focus on your foot.
And what happened? They started messing up. They got slower. They made more errors. They tripped over the ball. Why?
Because they started thinking about something that should be automatic.
Yes. The prefrontal cortex, the conscious, thinking, analytical part of the brain, got involved in a process that should have been on autopilot.
The old advice, don't think, just do.
Exactly. When you are in a high-stakes conversation or a listening test, if you start obsessing over grammar rules, wait, is this the past perfect continuous? Should I use have or had? You will stutter. You will freeze. You will paralyze yourself by analyzing yourself.
You have to trust your autopilot. You have to trust that all the train hard work you did has actually worked.
Yes. And here's a practical tip to help with this. It's been shown that writing down your worries before a big event helps.
Really? Just writing them down, like in a diary?
It kind of downloads them from your brain. It frees up your cognitive processing power. If you write down, I'm worried I won't understand their vocabulary, your brain feels heard and stops looping on that thought, leaving you free to just focus on the task at hand.
That is such a cool biohack. Write down the fear to get rid of the fear.
It works.
Well, we have reached the end of this deep dive. My brain is absolutely full, but in a very good way. I hope everyone's neural pathways are firing on all cylinders.
It's been a pleasure exploring all of this with you.
Now, I have one small favor to ask of everyone listening. We want to know who made it to the very end. We want to know who the real dedicated C1 in training learners are. So if you are listening to this right now, I want you to go to the comment section, wherever you're listening to this, and write the phrase, I am consistent.
I'm consistent.
Right.
Because consistency is the only magic pill that actually exists in language learning.
Exactly. Prove to us, and more importantly, prove to yourself that you have the stamina. Drop that comment. And of course, make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss our next deep dive. We have some amazing topics coming up.
We do indeed.
Remember that SAS motto we talked about? Keep moving or you're dead. Keep your momentum, keep listening, keep challenging yourself.
See you next time.
Bye for now.